Hey, sorry about missing out on a lot of content this past week. I know that I need to be consistent at least, but man, school has got me working ridiculously overtime right now, and I really have not had too much time to just sit down and record. So I'm actually very happy to be getting back into this. And here's the thing, there are a lot of things I need to cover because I missed as much time as I did. So I'm very excited to get into it. I mean, there was one specific thing that happened on the week that I took off that is absolutely insane to me. But anyway, we'll get into that. So what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Micah McCamey, and in today's episode, we will be talking about Titans free agents. We're putting them into 4 tiers. There is definitely happening, likely, probably not, and no chance, right? So I'm excited to get into it. But first off, we got to discuss a specific matter that is on the forefront of my mind. It's the Jermaine Johnson trade. So here's the thing, right? I saw a little bit of controversy around this because, most people know this at this point, but the trade was Jermaine Johnson, T'Vondre Sweat. Straight up. They both swapped places. And I know that there were a lot of Titans fans that were really upset about this. No, we're getting rid of, a great run stuffer and all of that stuff. And yes, I do agree with that. But in reality, I think that this is a win-win. I think that Jermaine Johnson fits this system really well, and he played well in it whenever he was with the Jets and with Robert Saleh. So I really like that, all things considered. And personally, I think this trade is a win-win. T'Vondre Sweat gets a fresh start with a different coaching staff that wants him there. And Jermaine Johnson gets to hook back up with his old buddy that helped him become a decent pass rusher over the last couple of years. So I really like this trade for both sides, honestly. I slightly lean toward us in winning the trade because here's the thing, right? First off, do not listen to what Twitter says about Titans trades in general. Right as the trade happens, we trade away somebody or let go of somebody, they immediately become Tom Brady or something like that. People have a way of doing that where it's the Titans trade T'Vondre Sweat. He's a top 5 run stuffer. What are you doing? The Titans trade for L'Jarius Sneed, which looked like it was going to be really great at the time. People were just oh, he's a system cornerback. People are always going to say, especially on Twitter, people are always going to say, especially for the Titans, that a trade was terrible. That's just the point. The trade was terrible because it was the Titans. And then that's it, right? Now, they were right in the L'Jarius Sneed sense, but I don't think they'll be right here. And that's for one reason. I don't trust T'Vondre Sweat as a person. I mean, as in, I don't know if I could keep secrets with him. That's not what I mean. I mean that as in, can I trust him to be a disciplined player consistently? Somebody that will show up to work every day and be consistently solid and won't slack off whenever he's in the middle of an injury recovery, right? That is the question that was at the forefront of my mind whenever I saw this. I was did Robert Saleh meet T'Vondre Sweat? And then he just kind of realized, wait, this dude doesn't really have it. And then was just I want to go get my old buddy Jermaine Johnson back, right? I could very easily see a situation like that. I think that T'Vondre Sweat will be good, but I am very concerned about him in such a fragile culture like New York. Our culture already isn't that good. New York's is even worse than ours. It makes ours look like the Patriots cultures of the Tom Brady era. That's 2 Tom Brady references in one episode. But anyway, it makes our locker room look like peaches and flowers, right? The Jets locker room is absolutely terrible whenever it comes to personalities. I mean, we saw what it did to a guy to a Jarvis Brownlee. Jarvis Brownlee was a very solid player here, right? He went up there and he still played kind of okay, but he was an absolute head case. There would be times, I remember specifically, whenever Mike Borgonzi just outright came out and said, yeah, we traded him because he was a locker room problem. I remember Jarvis Brownlee posted some cheeky thing with emojis about that quote, and then everybody was just dude, you literally proved his point. That is the reason that you got traded, was that tweet right there, right? So it makes me wonder, does T'Vondre Sweat carry a similar energy, right? I'll still stick up for him and stuff like that because I do think a lot of it is him being a comedic person, but I do question his work ethic, and that's why I am more leaning toward us toward winning the trade. But I am extremely excited to see how this works out for both teams, not just us. I'm very excited to see if Jermaine Johnson can finally take that next step as a pass rusher under Robert Saleh. And I'm very excited to see if T'Vondre Sweat can lock in New York and can become a great run stopper. I think that both could very easily happen, but yeah. Okay, so now we are getting into the actual tiers of Titans free agency. I have about 12 free agents in here. Let me do a quick head count. 11. Yeah, I got 11 free agents in here that I am going to be talking about. So we're going to start out with this tier. Definitely happening / chew-in. This is the tier where you're just like, yeah, this is a thing. I think that's almost confirmed at this point, right? That this is going to happen. Now, obviously, there are no guarantees in the NFL. One of these two dudes could get offered an absolute bag and decide to go. But specifically, the first one that I'm going to mention, I think maybe the biggest shoe-in NFL free agency history. That would be John Franklin Myers. Just look on Twitter. I mean, that's it. That's all that you need to see for why this dude is such a shoo-in for this thing. He keeps on reposting Titans stuff. He was bantering with Jermaine Johnson about some of the stuff that he said. He really likes our new assistant defensive line coach. I think that John Franklin Myers may be the biggest shoo-in. But what does he provide? I think he provides good pass rushing. He provides good stuff with being a nose tackle and all of that. You add him to that room of Jeffrey Simmons and Sebastian Joseph Day, then maybe there's a little bit more depth there than there was last year. I really like that as a free agency option. I think that he is a very solid player. I think that he's better than Sebastian Joseph Day, and that's no shot at SJD. He's great and everything, right? But I do definitely believe that he is better, and I think that his pass rushing prowess will definitely help later on with the Titans defensive line. Jeffrey Simmons finally took that next step as a pass rusher. We're hoping that Jermaine Johnson can do the same thing, and John Franklin Myers would definitely help out with that. And maybe we draft another dude or sign another dude in free agency, which I don't know what's going to happen there, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, John Franklin Myers, I think that it will be a good signing. I think that it will help out the Titans defensive line significantly. Now, moving on to the other shoe-in. Now, this one isn't as much of a shoe-in. I mean, he hasn't been vocal about oh, I love Nashville and all of this stuff. John Franklin Myers has basically said he's going to the Tennessee Titans, right? But Wan'Dale has not made such a statement, but there have been constant reports about mutual interest with the Titans, about how apparently, the Titans are willing to offer him big money to come here. So I think that Wan'Dale Robinson can be considered a shoo-in. Although we did get this type of reporting with Matt Nagy, and obviously I was just talking about how Robert Saleh's defense was really good for Jermaine Johnson. So obviously that did not happen. So the question is, how do I feel about Wan'Dale Robinson as a receiver? I really like Wan'Dale Robinson. I think that he would be a great speedster to add for Cam Ward, giving him a deep ball option. Now, obviously Wan'Dale, he's a smaller dude. He's not just going to go up and just head top somebody, right? But he will be better than anything Cam Ward had this last year. Anything. I mean, as in he will be better than Calvin Ridley. He'll be better than and then he'll be better than literally everybody else that played last year. I genuinely believe that. He is he's very solid, right? And obviously you're going to see a lot of Giants fans that are whining about, Wan'Dale isn't really that good. But here's the thing. He put up 1,000 yards in Brian Daboll's offense. Now, if you ask me, I don't think that going from one place to another will affect his ability to play if he's going to play for the same exact offensive mind that helped him become an 1,000-yard receiver. I genuinely believe that he will get as many opportunities as he can, and I think that he will ball out for the Tennessee Titans if he is given the chance. There's no other shoo-ins. I mean, I feel like that those dudes are pretty obvious. I think that there will be one more receiver potentially added, a cheaper veteran receiver. There's one that probably comes to mind for some people, but no, it's not going to be him, and we're going to talk about that later in case you were curious. Anyway, next tier that I wanted to talk about is likely the dudes that I think are not as big of shoo-ins as those first two, as in there's not ridiculous amounts of reporting pointing toward these two being Tennessee Titans. But there is definitely a lot of evidence that we can go off of and be like, yeah, sure. First thing that I wanted to mention, Connor McGovern, center from the Buffalo Bills. First off, he's not going to be a Bill next year. Like, the Bills have not even been in contact with him. That's how much he is not going to be a Bill next year. And I think that we will probably slightly overpay him, all things considered, just so that way he can come and be our center. Like, it's like either him or some other like sloppy seconds for somebody else. Now, I could see, after seeing a report from Paul Kaharski, I saw that there was this Jag center whose name I cannot remember for the life of me. But if you know who I'm talking about, you know. And that would be something that I think would happen, because I wouldn't be shocked if Robert Saleh, in a cheeky way, tries to get access to the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive playbook and is like, okay, how can I stop this, right? I could 100% see something like that happening. But I do think it will end up being Connor McGovern. I think that is him, another person, or bust. That other person we will mention later. But Connor McGovern is a very solid option. Veteran, has been in the league, can communicate the offense effectively, just really solid, all things considered, and a pretty good pass blocker, from what I can tell at least. Offensive line is not really my wheelhouse, but from what I can tell, Connor McGovern is well respected around the league, and I would love to have him as an addition to the Tennessee Titans. Next person that I think is likely, there are two DBs next up. All right, Jaylen Watson and Alontae Taylor. First off, Jaylen Watson, another dude that I think we might slightly overpay for. I think that almost everybody that we get, we will overpay for by just a little bit. Not by an intense amount, but just by a little bit. But Jaylen Watson, I mean, like, I don't know what else to say about this dude. I've said many things about this guy. I just really like him as an option. Obviously, he's not Trent McDuffie, right? Like, he's not like that ridiculous corner that's just going to be locked down, but he would be a great stabilizer for a position that desperately needs it. Like, I think that Jaylen Watson and Wan'Dale Robinson potentially will end up being the like dudes that are like, overpay to get stability out of position. It's like what we did last year with Dan Moore. It's like what we did the year before that with Calvin Ridley, right? Like, that is what is going to happen here, I believe. So I think we overpay a little bit for Wan'Dale. I think we overpay a little bit for Jaylen Watson. I think that Jaylen Watson is a solid player. Is he a cornerback one? Probably not. Is he a good person to have in the building? Yes, he is. Like, I would much prefer him over the cornerback room that we rolled out last year. Give me him, Chris Harris, and somebody else, and we're okay, I believe. I'd like Jaylen Watson. The next person that I want to mention was Alontae Taylor. I mean, here's the obvious thing, is that he's got home ties to Tennessee. So I think that is like the biggest thing for me, at least. And, he comes from my hometown, Manchester, Tennessee. Go Red Raiders. But like, I really like Alontae Taylor as an option. He's flexible. He's solid. Like, there's just a lot of good things I can say about Alontae Taylor. Like, you saw him in that Titans game this year. He almost intercepted Cam Ward like 5 times, it felt like. This dude is very good, and he can be used in the right system, if you will. So I think that, honestly, I struggled with putting him in the shoe-in tier because there hasn't been as much reporting about it. But it's tough because I don't know how much he values like home cooking and all that stuff. But if he does value that in the slightest, then I think that the Titans will pay him what he wants, and he will be a Tennessee Titan by the end of March, right? I 100% believe that. So I really like Alontae Taylor, and I do think that he probably will end up signing. All right, next one, the last one in the likely tier is Kevin Zeitler / Greg Van Roten. I put them in the same category because I think they're both pretty likely. Kevin Zeitler decides to hang it up and is like, hey, this is not really cutting it for me. I think I'm just going to retire. Then he retires, right? Or he's just like, guys, look, I get what you're doing. It's a rebuilding team. I get it, but there's no need for me to be a part of this anymore, right? Like, I'm old. I just want to go live out my days on a good Super Bowl contending roster, right? If one of those two things happens, your backup plan, Greg Van Roten, connections to Cameron Brasillo and Brian Daboll, probably a teacher's pet of Brasillo from what I can tell at least, and is a decent guard option. He's good, but he's not too good, right? Like, he is good enough in the sense that he will be a decent right guard if you put him in that position. But also, he's not too good to the point where we can't at least try and let Jackson Slater maybe, get some snaps in there and maybe see if he can be the future of the Titans right guard position, right? I really like that as an option just because of that, because here's the thing. I have been a big Jackson Slater guy since he got drafted. Like, this dude, again, like, I remember, I think Taylor Lewan said this, like, the dudes that come from his level, the FCS level, are like grinders, dude. Like, they are very tough and gritty, and they're smart. Like, they may not be the biggest, but they are smart. You can at least say that. And that goes for Jackson Slater, and I really like him. So I would ideally like to bring in a veteran that is good if Kevin Zeitler decides, I'm not going to do this anymore. But I would also be completely fine with bringing in Greg Van Roten to potentially compete with Jackson Slater. I would love that. So those are my overall thoughts on the right guard dilemma. So if you ever want to ask, what are your thoughts on right guard? This section right here, that's it. That's my thoughts. Anyway, now we're moving on to the probably not, but would be great tier. These are the guys that are being named in the Titans community that people are getting themselves hyped up for, only to realize that chances are they're probably going to go sign somewhere else where they are going to be the obvious receiver, like the obvious, like, big man on campus, if you will. Or in the case of one of these, is just going to get paid more. I believe. I don't think that we will pay up the money for one of these dudes, but the other person, I just don't think that he will jive well because of other additions that I think will happen. So, first one that I wanted to mention, Tyler Linderbaum. Now, obviously, this dude has been talked about constantly throughout the entirety of, like, NFL fan bases. After they figured out that the Baltimore Ravens were going to be like, yeah, I think that we're good to not re-sign Tyler Linderbaum. Like, I think that every NFL team and every NFL fan base at that just immediately poked their eyes out and were just like, whoa, this could be something. Like, I want this dude, right? And here's the thing. I think that he probably ends up somewhere else. Like, I don't think that he ends up coming here. I think he'll go to a bigger market, truthfully. But, I mean, like, whenever I say probably not, I'm not putting him in no chance because of the fact that I think that we're one of the only teams that will pony up the dough that he wants. Like, he wants like $20 million a year, if I remember correctly. Like, we have the money for that, right? So I could very easily see a world where Tyler Linderbaum comes in and we're just like, everybody gets hyped and gets bought into Mike Borgonzi, of course. But, like, I like Tyler Linderbaum as a player, obviously. I mean, he's amazing. But I don't see it happening, but it would be absolutely amazing if it did. And it would be great for Cam Ward's development. So, again, Tyler Linderbaum, great player. Don't think it'll happen. I mean, I think it just goes to a bigger market or a better team that has cap space, like the Giants. Okay, hear me out. The Giants are a better overall team than us right now. I think we have the better quarterback, and I think that we have we outclass them in specific positions. I just don't think that's one of them. But anyway, next person and the last person here is Alec Pierce. This is what I was referring to whenever I was talking about how he wants to be a wide receiver one, bar none, and far and away. And, like, here's the thing. If Wan'Dale Robinson is as big of a shoo-in as he seems to be, then, like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Like, Alec Pierce is going to want to go somewhere. Like, I could see him going to, like, the Raiders, where he is going to be able to help in the development of a young quarterback in Mendoza. He's going to get the ball as much as he really wants to because of how bad that receiver core is. And he's just going to play really well, probably, because he's the only person getting targeted. So I like Alec Pierce as an option. Okay, I think that he fits Cam Ward's style, where it's like he's a contested catch guy that's going to go up and just get the ball, like, ridiculously, right? I like him as an option. Don't get me wrong on that. But I think with how big he talks, I don't think he's going to end up coming to the Titans. And I think that we will have overpaid one or two people just a little bit too much, to the point where Alec Pierce, probably there won't be enough room in the cap space to be like, yeah, we're going to bring him on, right? But I would absolutely love him. If you could get both Wan'Dale Robinson and Alec Pierce in the building to help out Cam Ward, I would go up to Mike Borgonzi and give him a fat kiss, right? Kiss on the cheek, obviously. But, like, if I were to get Alec Pierce, I would absolutely love it. I would give Borgonzi my biggest hug, right? But I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that either he ends up testing the market and then comes back to the Colts and is like, yeah, I couldn't find anything better. Or, like, a team like the Raiders pays him way more than he needs to get paid, and then he resets the market, right? And then we're going to be happy that we signed Wan'Dale Robinson when we did. Okay, so I think that's what ends up happening, but I would love Alec Pierce. Anyway, last tier, no chance. These are the guys that, like, look, there's one of these dudes that I would absolutely love to bring in, but all of these dudes I do not think have a chance. I think that all of these guys are not really what the Titans are looking for right now and just aren't that great in general. First one, Mike Evans. Yeah, no. Okay, here's the thing, right? There was this report that came out today. I can't remember what the dude's name was that said that the Titans would be interested in Mike Evans at the right price. Do not believe that, okay? Because here's the thing. Reliable source, right? Especially come draft time. But that dude is way more reliable whenever it comes to the draft than it is to the NFL free agency. Now, if this was a solo report, like this was the lone person that said this, and I mean that as in this was the only person that said something about the Titans and Mike Evans, I would believe it, probably. I would be like, oh yeah, that's typical. But there was another report by Jonathan Jones the day before that said that the Titans were not interested in Mike Evans and that they were going to try and pursue Wan'Dale Robinson. Jonathan Jones is one of, if not the most reliable people in the entirety of football media, right? Like, he's not Schefter or Rappaport, obviously, but he is a very reliable source whenever it comes to leaks and stuff like that. So I 100% believe that Mike Evans is not going to be a Tennessee Titan. I just don't think that he fits the vision that Borgonzi and Saleh both have for this team and its future. So I don't know. I just don't think Mike Evans is going to end up being a Tennessee Titan. Like, that's it. Even though it would be absolutely hilarious. No doubt about that. But anyway, next person I want to mention was Michael Pittman Jr. Yeah, again, this is one that I really don't want, honestly. Like, I think that he has some good traits about him. He seems like a fun guy from what I've seen on his YouTube channel, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that he's too focused on other things like that YouTube channel, and I don't think that he's fully locked in on the game sometimes. And even though I think that he's great for like contested catches and a decent route runner and all that, like, I think that he really experienced his prime like 2 years ago, and he just hasn't reached that since. And honestly, like, I mean, like, there's nothing else to say. Michael Pittman, not really my number one choice. And then the last one, Trey Hendrickson. Look, I'm just going to save you the trouble right now. The Titans are not going to get Trey Hendrickson. Again, it's going to be a team with salary cap, but instead of it being better than the Titans, like I said, with Linderbaum, it's going to be a team that is actually a Super Bowl contender. A Super Bowl contender that has salary cap. That is going to be what happens with Trey Hendrickson. There's zero doubt about that in my mind. Like, he is not a fit for what the Titans are wanting right now. Again, there are going to be people that want him. Sure, if we sign him, I would throw a big party too. Like, same thing goes with this as Alec Pierce. I would be ecstatic if we got an edge rusher even on the same level as Trey Hendrickson. But he's old. He's going to be asking for a lot of money, and I just don't see the Titans ponying that up. Like, look, I don't know if you've noticed a consistent theme with most of these dudes outside of John Franklin Myers. Like, all of these dudes are young, except for him and Connor McGovern, right? Like, most of these dudes, I don't think are even at 30 yet. So, whenever you take a look at these guys, like, it fits a specific theme of, like, there's a youth movement going on in Tennessee. Trey Hendrickson would go completely against that. And, like, yes, you do need your veterans, right? Like, you need a couple of dudes that stay within the locker room that are good presence, that are a good presence for that, right? But I think that we have that. I think that, honestly, you're going to hate me for this, but I think Dan Moore is a good presence. Like, just a dude that kind of gets to work. Then also Jeffrey Simmons, obviously. Sebastian Joseph Day, even. Amani Hooker. Like, these dudes are good veteran sources that are good leaders. And I don't think that we need more old people. Like, we don't need to continue the allegations of being a retirement home. And I think that's the thing with Trey Hendrickson. So anyway, that's it for today's episode. Tell me what y'all think in the comment section. Who do y'all think will be the most likely to end up signing with the Tennessee Titans? Who do y'all think probably won't sign with the Tennessee Titans? Let me know. And also, bonus question. Here's the thing, right? I have a forensics class at high school, right? And I've been doing this project about a celebrity who overdosed. It's about Len Bias. Does anybody know who Len Bias is outside of me? I just want to know that, okay? Again, I'm having a lot of fun doing it. sad story, but it's something that I'm actually interested in telling. Anyway, I'll give you all the rundown on who he is next week, but I'm running out of time right now. So anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Titans. I love y'all, and tighten up.